forward and put in the back end. All right, good to go, Matt.
All right, hello everyone. Once again, my name is Matthew Morales with Let Us Dream Marketing. And today we are going to talk about the most important part of sales, which is the follow-up, as he was saying. There's a psychological principle in sales that we have to remember. He just said it. It takes someone seeing a company, a product, a service, a new invention, 6 to 10 times before they built enough trust before they're even willing to buy it. All right. So if someone's never heard of you, they've never seen your product before, they've never seen your service, they've never even come across you, you have to be able to build value. And the value comes over multiple touches. So here's the thing. If you see something 6 to 7 times, and then finally you're ready to buy it, the question is, who did you buy it from? Because sometimes it's not even the same company that you saw it from the first time, right? Let's say you come across, I said an invention, so we'll say you come across a new invention, the air fryer, right? So you come across the air fryer and now you hear about it and maybe you're kind of interested in it, but how many times did you actually hear about it, hear others mention it before you were even willing to take the time out and go get it yourself, right? So that's where either the magic happens or the problem. And we want to fix the problem and turn it into the magic. Why? Because if it takes someone 7 to 10 times to see something, right? And you touch them 3 times, 4 times, and then Joe Schmo over here comes and contacts them 4 or 5 times, that 7th or 8th time, guess who they bought it from? Probably that person. So when I first got into the business, when I first got into sales, same like William, we were talking about, I was all about my charisma, right? But the problem is charisma is not duplicatable. The truth is, sales is. You can make sales a duplicatable system, but you can't make your charisma duplicatable. So how do we make it duplicatable? And the duplication comes, 1, from the sales pitch and the way you do that, but 2, the follow-up. We have to keep reaching out to them. It's even the same rule in hypnosis. Even in hypnosis, you see something 4, 5, 6, 7 times before someone even becomes hypnotized. So this is something we always want to keep in our mind as we're doing this. All right. As you've heard probably a million times, the money is in the follow-up. And a no isn't a no forever. Okay. That's a really important one. A no isn't a no forever. No response is definitely not a no. Just because they didn't respond to you doesn't mean that it's a no. Just because they didn't answer your call doesn't mean it's a no. So don't throw it away. That was the hardest thing for me at first, was because I'm so charismatic, I should make the sale the first time. And I was really good at making sales the first time. But then when I started to build a team, they couldn't continue the sales. And then I was having troubles continuing the sales because now I'm trying to get these guys to do it and manage all, and it all started falling apart. And that's when I came across a millionaire and I asked him, why is it that I can't build a company? Why can't I can get a whole team together, but I can't keep them together. And he said, oh, I can obviously tell it's because of your charisma. And that's why I learned. I was like, what do you mean? My charisma is amazing. It's really good for me. He's like, yeah, it's good for you, but it's not good for your team, right? You can't share your charisma. You can't teach that to someone, but you can teach a series of steps that anyone can copy that will get you from A to B. And so I'm going to give you some steps today for the follow-up. Okay. So what we want to do when we follow up with them is keep adding more value. Okay. If they've never heard of SEO, they need to know what it is, why it is, how it will help them. And if you are the one giving them this information, this value, you're the one they're going to go to. Free information. Okay. The 2 most valuable things to humans are first time. Time is the most valuable thing in the world to everyone. And then the second thing is knowledge. Why knowledge? Because knowledge is actually, learning is the only thing you've ever done in your life. You've never done anything outside of learning. Every single thing you're doing is learning. So those are 2 most valuable psychological principles you can give to someone. Okay. And they're always going to place the highest value. So you have to give people knowledge and you got to save them time. And that's what happens in these follow-ups. You don't just keep calling them and calling them and calling them and going, hey, you want my product? Hey, you want my product? No, every single touch is a new type of information, something that you can do to solve their problems, right? And the most important thing is automating the follow-up. We said a business is a series of duplicatable steps. So automate the duplicatable steps. They're duplicatable. Why isn't it automated? You know, how many of you are doing a follow-up and don't have it automated? And you're just sitting here calling and texting and sending emails every single time. That's so unnecessary. That's what CRMs are for. I mean, freaking Acuity has a scheduling follow-up feature. If you have Acuity, if you have Calendly, it has a follow-up feature. If you're not using at least one of those things, then you're missing out on so much money. We've done, anyone who knows us and knows our company knows that we're famous for our LinkedIn campaigns, right? And as William said, we will keep messaging you over and over and over and over and over and over until you tell us to fuck off or no. And sometimes even after you say no, I offer you something else. And there's a reason for that. It's because value is an opinion. Let me explain that again. Value is an opinion that changes from moment to moment. All right. Every single time. Value is an opinion. I want that to like really, really stick. All right. If you want to buy a car because you have $5,000, right? And then your brother dies and you have to pay for a funeral, all of a sudden the value aspect just switched. 5,000 might not all of a sudden be valuable for this car anymore. Value switched in an instant. So every single time you reach out to them, the value is different, especially if you're adding value on top. So if you can just keep giving them good information, which is the point of newsletters, automation, right? Which is the point in making communities like Facebook groups, automation, getting them in here so that they can find information, right? That's the point of blogs. All of these things are actually to help you with the follow-up. And all you got to do is automate it. 12 blogs, 12 newsletters. You know how easy that is? To make 12 newsletters, go on an app, pay someone to do it for you. It doesn't matter. And then every single time they go into your CRM and you call them, you instantly put them into trigger. And now you have at least 12 months of a follow-up where they learn about your other services, where you give them extreme value. Some people give coupons and discounts. So maybe you're giving coupons and discounts. Some people are doing giveaways, right? So all these things are things that give value, but most importantly, you're always educating them. Every time you give them a follow-up with new information, you have to be enticing, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to think of the way a corporation keeps in touch with you, right? Think about AT&T, think about Best Buy. The moment you left that store, they started emailing you, right? They didn't let you walk out that store without getting your information. You can't do that. You can't be different, right? Or you can't change that principle. All the corporations are doing it. All the successful companies are doing it for a reason. So do that. Take and adopt the same things they're doing. If you don't know what to do, right? Just go into your email and copy any company. Type in AT&T and then look at every single one of your emails over the past year and copy them. Doesn't matter. But that's where the money is, guys. That's where the money is. On LinkedIn, we reach out to people a year later, and literally we just did a call the other day where someone said, you know, I've been ignoring your messages, but it's been in the back of my mind and you've been persistent and you keep reaching out to me. And so I was ready to take this call and we made the sale a year later. You know, we had another customer who was not interested in our product at all. And then we actually accidentally messaged them because we did a campaign where we just blasted it to everybody, completely forgot to filter certain people out. And they got a blast and we got a sale and they said, hey, I didn't know you offered this service. I said no to this, but I will say yes to this. So these are really, really little things that you can be doing and understanding. You're not being annoying if you're giving value. If you're not giving value, yeah, you're being annoying. Just stop bothering them, okay? Don't bother them. Don't be the person that bothers, and don't think of yourself as bothering people. You're offering a service. Okay. And slight tangent, but also like even a millionaire, you go up to a millionaire and you ask them for $1 million. Some people are going, oh, can I please have $1 million? And that mindset that you're doing something for me, but I'm looking at it as I'm doing something for you. Hey, give me $250,000. I'll make you $1 million, right? Give me $1,000 and I will make your website popular. Give me $500 and I will fill up your calendar. Give me $10,000 and I will give you blah, 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 right? But giving them extreme value, okay? And then if you really, really want to get fancy, right? So what we want to do is we want to have this automation. And so what I do is first, I call them. I love calling people. I will always call, right? If they don't answer, I leave a voicemail, I send a text, and I send an email, all 3 times. Then after I do that, I put it inside of my trigger, and I use Go High Level specifically, called my follow-up. And I put people into follow-up. And then automatically it starts a campaign, right? Where 3 days later, it sends an email. Then it follows up with an email 7 days later. Then 14 days later, it follows up with an email and a text. But notice how it keeps getting longer and longer. And then finally, then they'll get their monthly newsletters, and that's it. So that they're not feeling annoyed, and now they're just getting a lot of value. But every single time I emailed them and every single time I texted them, it wasn't, hey, you were interested, are you still interested? It was, hey, we have this. Hey, if you do this, it could do this. Hey, I know you're scared, but, right? And that's a big one. I know you're probably scared, but this is the step you need. And if you've been thinking about going there, this is what you need. One powerful sentence I've used is on the follow-up is, when you said you wanted to change your business, or when you said you wanted to change your life, were you serious or were you just kidding around? Ask powerful questions, okay? Dealing with objections. So this is what we have to do. We need to learn how to deal with objections. That's the next step. What kind of objections are there? There's only 2. There's only 2 objections in the world, okay? I wonder if any of you know them. All right.
Product and price.
What was it?
Product and price.
Okay, those are the 2. That's the most common answer. That's incorrect. All right. But I appreciate you answering. Go ahead. What do you think it is? Who was
Go ahead.
that?
I don't think I was next. Did someone else want to go? I'll go next.
Yeah, Nick, that was you, Nick. Go ahead.
Okay. Oftentimes we found it isn't money, so we keep digging.
Mm-hmm.
And it ends up being something personal or something that's taken more precedent, something that becomes more, like you had said, it's more urgent. There's more precedent since we talked, or I'm not showing enough. That's all it is.
Awesome. Yes. So I'm going to break that down into 2 ideas, because it's always these 2 ideas, never anything different. Okay. Number 1, it's a limiting belief in their own ability. And that can happen in a limiting belief in their own ability. And that can be like an example, like you just said, where something just happened in their life. And right now, I can't do this because I don't have time. I can't do this because I don't have money. I can't do this because this wedding's happening. I can't do this because I'm new to this.
So are you saying an ownability, for them to own it and buy it and scale it, they're not seeing value because it's not at the top of the list? Right.
I'm glad you mentioned the value, because that was
Ownability.
the next point. And then the second is the same thing, but it's a limiting belief in your company. So it's a limiting belief in your company or you, okay? Limiting belief in their self or a limiting belief in you. But this is the beauty of it. As he said, the word value. These are both related to value. And what did I just say before about value? Value is an opinion that changes from moment to moment. So if you recognize that they have a limiting belief in your company, you have not yet given them enough value for them to trade up the money. Because the way trading works, the way money works is, if I see something more valuable than what I have in my hand, I will trade it. And it's the same for the other person that trades it. That's the only time we ever make a trade. The only time, right? So if I see value in this, I'm going to give it to you. So, oh, I don't see enough value yet. $500. I don't see enough value. Even if they say they don't have $500, here's the truth, right? Because everyone says, well, price is the real objection. That's not true. Because if I said to you, I will, if you can come up with $35,000 by tomorrow, I will give you a $250,000 gift. Would you go for it? One of three answers, either yes.
I would, because I perceive that there's value. I could sell it and still make money. So yes.
Exactly. So the answer is one of three. It's either yes, I will do it, or, and then price isn't the option. You don't care. You're going to figure out how to get those $35,000. You don't care because you see such tremendous value that you're willing to go for it. But the other two options are no, you won't do it because you have a limiting belief in your own ability to get $35,000 by tomorrow. Or you have a limiting belief in their ability to give me $250,000, right? Those are the only three possible answers ever. And that means it's solvable. Very, very solvable. If you understand, keyword, their feelings. Obviously, they're problems. We're solving a problem, but the problem causes a feeling, anxiety, resentment, loneliness, right? Feelings. So we have to solve that. Go ahead, Nick.
Well, you said we have to solve it. I was going to say, or we show them that their feelings will change by doing X. You are now going to feel, Y instead of Z.
Exactly. And so
that's a hard one to pull off without showing a lot of value.
Yes. So first we want to show a lot of value. And then second, if we haven't, and we receive the objection, we do what you just said, which is called feel, felt, found. I also used this, I taught this last time as a marketing principle. Now I'm teaching it to you as a sales principle. Okay. Feel, felt, found. Sales are feelings based. Okay. So we have to listen. We have to really listen to what they're saying behind the words. What feeling are they really feeling that we need to help them quell, like he said, by showing them that this solution I give you will help resolve those feelings, right? So if someone feels unsafe, then we help them feel secure, ADT, right? If someone feels anxious, we help them feel relief, Xanax, right? Which product do you have or service do you have that will help them feel the opposite of what it is they're feeling? Are they feeling anxious? Are they feeling insecure, right? Do we need to help them feel relief? Because if I hear you talking and I just keep hearing all this stuff about, man, I can't do it. I feel all alone in this. I don't know what I'm doing. I hear one thing. This is what I hear, right? And I say something like, wow. When I hear you speak, I'm hearing you say that you're stressed out because you've been trying to do it all yourself. Is that true? I'm like, yes. Or they'll correct me and tell me their true feeling. Okay, so if they say yes, hold on, then I would say, well, I completely understand, actually. I used to feel stressed out and anxious and I couldn't sleep when I first started doing this business, actually, until I found my project manager, because they started taking care of things for me. And now I feel capable, I feel motivated, I feel excited now, and I don't have to do it all myself. And we can be that for you. And I feel like that's what might make you feel better. Would you feel better if you didn't feel like you had to do this all alone? Yes, relief, that feeling. That's what we need. And that is where the value comes from. Time and knowledge, right there. We just gave them both. What were you about to say, Nick?
I was going to say, George and I have been selling technology since the 90s, but if you can get them to that point, like Matt's saying, that they're telling you what they're feeling and why, you're almost home. Most sales, they just disappear. You never dig for it. You don't hear from them. But if you've got them telling you what's hurting them, what they're concerned about, you've got the sale.
Exactly. And so actually one of the very first things I even say on my sales call is, why don't you go ahead and tell me a little bit about your project and some of the problems that you're facing and what you've been feeling lately, and I will see what I can do to help solve your problem. I started off with the feeling, and I always start off with the feeling, okay? That is the first things I do. And I'm always listening for feeling words, right? Because when they say, I don't have money, there's a feeling in there, right? Of feeling unstable. So we have to help them feel stable. So make it so that they feel the opposite of that pain point. That's why we're always using the term our pain point. And so then obviously next If we get the objection, this is the follow-up, right? On the follow-up, whatever, even on the objection, we have to start asking them powerful questions. Be direct if you need. Ask them, what's holding them back? Is it the price that's holding you back, sir? Be direct. If it's the price, give them more value, because that just means you haven't quite given them enough value for the price you've told them yet. Because I'm telling you, if you give them enough value, they'll trade it. They'll borrow the damn money if they have to. They'll finance it, right? That's why people will finance something at 30, 40, 50% interest, because you believe there's more value in the product than in the money in your hand. So that's a really important thing. Here's another really good question. And then from here, we can start opening up to some questions from you guys as well. So here's another really good, powerful thing you can do, which is a closing technique. On a scale from 1 to 10, how ready are you to get started? And the great news is, no matter what, if they say from 1 to 10, they're still ready to get started, unless they say 0, right? So I'm at about a 7. Great. What would it take to bring you from a 7 to a 10? Okay. And so now they tell me whatever it is. You know, I don't know. It feels a little bit expensive, or I don't know, this project timeline seems really, really tight, whatever it is. So we listen, and then we repeat back to them their feelings and their concerns. So, oh, okay. So if I was able to complete this project within 15 days at a price that's within your budget, would you be willing to get started today? Wow, yes, I would. Great. What would be a more reasonable budget for you? And these are for people that have negotiable prices. But these are just ways you can move. And every single company has a different way. There's also something called the backdoor approach to find budgets. On the top of my head, I can give you one from another company I worked with. And you guys can try to translate it into your business, but it would go something like this. Let's say I was selling protein shakes, right? So let's say I was selling energy shakes, and these shakes replace 2 of your meals. So I would do a backdoor approach to receive your budget. So the question would be something like this. So Nick, if you started buying our products, you would replace 2 meals a day. What 2 meals would you replace? Breakfast and lunch, lunch and dinner, dinner and breakfast? What 2 meals would you replace? You know, and they might say, I think I'd replace breakfast and dinner. Awesome. What would be a typical breakfast for you? I usually have myself like a coffee and a croissant. Great. How much would you say that costs? I don't know, like $7. Okay. And you said you'd replace dinner? Yeah, I'd replace dinner. Okay, so what would be a typical dinner for you? A typical dinner might be some like rice, beans, and chicken. Great. How much would you say that costs? I'd say that costs about, you know, $10 to $12. Okay, so you're saying that you're spending on average $18 to $20 between breakfast and dinner? Yes, I am. Fantastic. I have a program that only costs $15. It's going to cost you $15 a day. You're going to save $4 to $5 a day, and you're going to feel stronger. You're going to feel healthier. You're going to be more vibrant. Your skin's going to look better. Right? So I just got their budget without them feeling uncomfortable, understanding what their budget is, because I found out how much are they already spending. And then I replaced what they're spending with my product within that budget. Everyone's always trying to upsell. Okay, you don't always have to upsell right away. You just got to solve their problem. And then when they buy, then upsell them on things that will solve more of their problems. Don't be selfish. Don't be greedy. Don't think about yourself. Think about the customer, right? So we have to keep following up with them, calling them, texting them, emailing them, doing newsletters, making Facebook groups, creating content, anything you want, so that they see your name, they see your face, they see your product over and over and over. They're surrounded by you. That saying in marketing, be everywhere. If I'm walking and I see you on billboards, and then I see an ad with this, and then I see this, and I see this, and it's just a question mark on it, I'm like, huh, what is this? And I'm going to look it up.
Can I go back to something? So what I like is, even though it was a simple sales example, there's no yes, no questions. There's no way to bow out, right? Is it this or is it this? Tell me about this. I like that because it was comfortable, and there's really not a way out.
Exactly. Yeah. And you know, you don't give them ways out. That's a great thing to point. Don't say, would that be okay? Never say, would that be okay? Never say, can I do this or not? Don't give them the or not, right? We're direct.
Your-
This
your-
or
your
that.
clo- your
Chocolate or
mis-
strawberry.
Your
Go ahead.
your little closing question should be a split between two positive answers. So it should never be a yes or no response. It's, would you like the black one or the red one? Instead of, do you want one or not?
Yes, exactly. And actually, Abe just said open-ended questions. I'm actually going to say the opposite. We want to avoid open-ended questions because we want to direct them somewhere. And literally the definition of open-ended means no ending. So that's how you spark conversations that you don't want. Whenever you ask a question, the question is always specific and directs them somewhere. And you should always be directing them closer and closer and closer towards the end. So the first time you should get something open, the only kind of open-ended questions you're doing is at the very beginning, if you're the type of person that's being personable. Some people like to be personable first, you know? So I might literally go, oh man, that's a really cool guitar on the back. Tell me about that. That's an open-ended question.
Well, I think, you know, what problems are you having with your business? How long have you owned it? Is there anyone else that's here to decide with you? The open-ended questions are usually good at the front end. And as you narrow down,
not in the closing, because it's like you said, open-ended. There's no ending. So then at the end, we need them to end. And we need to ask for the sale. Ask for the sale directly. Will that be credit, Visa or MasterCard? Doesn't matter if it's Visa or MasterCard, right? Would you like, are you paying with check? Great. Where can I send this invoice? And the other thing, this is probably the most important part about your sales calls, okay? Do everything on the call. Some of you do audits. Do an audit on the call. Some of them, you ask them to see your website. Make them type in your website while on the call because of what's called the law of engagement. If someone engages once, they're more likely to engage again and again. And we're simultaneously doing something else. This is a hypnosis thing, right? I said before, we have to see something 6 to 7 times. How many times do you think I can get you to see things on a call? If we're clever, 2 to 3 times. So we can knock some of those out. We're not going to get all 6 to 7 on a call. That'd be ridiculous, right? But if you did something as small as, and I don't know much about SEO. That's Drew, my business partner, more than me. But I just assume that by definition, organic brings more traffic. So I do a lot of sales calls. I do 10 sales calls a day. That means every single day I get 10 people typing in my address. Don't know if that's helpful or not, but I do it every single time, right? But in a psychological aspect, it's helpful. And then I have them click through the things. And then I have them understand the products and understand me, and I give them value. And I'm always teaching in the calls, but always directing them towards the end. They always have to be going somewhere, right? Like you said, the open-ended question, what kind of problems you're having, you know, that's still guided. It's still leading somewhere. I also used to hate scripts. I used to hate them because of my charisma. But then I learned that scripts are things that work. If I would, you works. It's a sentence that's powerful because it's reciprocal. Adding the word quick before the word call makes them feel like you're important and they're important and that you won't be wasting their time. So I've learned over time to respect scripts and to see what things work. And what you're going to notice is everyone's script in the world, no matter how different they are always going to follow the same principles because it's the principles that work, not the words, right? Nothing in here, no system I tell you, that's not the way things are. It's the principles that lie behind the systems that make systems valuable because philosophies or principles, they can't change. Principles don't change. Laws can change. Principles don't change. So do you guys have any questions or anything you guys want me to talk about specifically? Let's go ahead, Nick. You're on mute.
No, all right. So question, I'm assuming with you and your business partner that you go niche specific sometimes.
What do you mean?
So maybe there's a particular niche like kitchen and bath or home remodeling or, garage doors or something specific.
Yeah, kind of. So yes. So
Okay. So in your follow-up, this is what it was about. So in the follow-up, let's say you create 12 emails. Do you ever make them niche specific if you've got case studies or information, or just make them that outreach a little bit more like the market? So it's a little bit more specific.
Yes, absolutely. So you can make it however you want, as long as you are giving them value, they're going to take the value, right? So as long as you're giving them tremendous value, it doesn't matter if it's a video, it doesn't matter if it's a newsletter, it doesn't matter if it's a coupon. It's just the value that we're giving them. And so, yeah, like you said, it could, niche specific, but I always go back to principles. So behind every type of niche, right? So you gave an example like roofing. Let's say we do roofing, let's say we do vacuuming, let's say we do cleaning, things like that. These are all local services. They follow the same principles. And so because they follow the same principles, you can use the same strategies for them. And it might be slightly variated for a different niche, but everything within that quarter category, same thing will be similar.
So are you saying the principles being how they fulfill business and sell business, or what principles would you say? I might be lost something.
Okay, yeah. So a principle would be like form follows function. Okay, form follows function is a rule in physics, but it's also a rule in biology, and it's a rule in nutrition, and it's a rule in art. It's a rule in everything because it can never be broken. It's a principle. Form follows function means that if I do this 1,000 times, it'll get bigger, and if I don't move at all, it'll atrophy. That's what form follows function is. The way something looks is the way it looks because of the function necessary for it to exist. So everything has principles, right? One of the principles that we said before is in order for somebody to trust something, they need to see value and come across it multiple times. So that's the principle. The point is, it doesn't matter how you give the value, as long as you give the value. The value is the principle, if that makes sense. Are you going to share some basic scripts and powerful question examples? I can. I feel like I just gave you a really good example. So on my sales calls, right, on the very, very beginning thing I do is, like I said before, I ask them what their problems are. Okay. And then I also already know before they got on the call what kind of sales call it is, because the way we've organized it. So we do websites, which has a different, that has a different link than our SEO, which has a different link than our advertisements, right? And so I already know in advance. So let's say it's a website design or SEO. Before I even get on the call, I get an audit. And then on the call, I talk to them and only mention a few of the problems that I've noticed. And then I give them solutions. And so you asked about scripts. So the reason I can send you some that I have, but the reason the sending scripts doesn't matter so much is because, like I said, if you understand the principles behind the scripts, then each script can be completely different as long as they're following the principles. So I will send you something actually after this that I used last week, and it has a script in it that is the intro, right? How to meet a person. It has the script for presentation. It has a script for what's the other section? Let's see, the follow-up. I actually have it out right here. Ask objections and relate to the objection. I understand how you feel. Complaint number one, complaint. So I do have these. I have something called the health consultation on here too, which I should probably change over to a marketing thing, but this consultation got me more sales than anything I've ever done. It's actually changed people's lives because the way I designed it is using psychological principles in which I'm only using feelings, right? So it was like a health thing. So I would say, what are your core desired feelings? Well, I want to feel strong, and I want to feel intelligent, and I want to feel whatever, right? So I say, oh, what would make you feel strong? Working out would make me feel strong. What would make you feel intelligent? Reading would make me feel intelligent. So asking questions in these ways that are always feelings forward, and it can really, really make a huge difference. And then at the end, of course, you repeat it back. You always repeat it back to me. Okay, so what I heard is that you desire to feel strong and intelligent, and things that would make you feel strong and intelligent are reading and working out. But some of the things in your day that keep you from feeling that way are smoking cigarettes and watching TV all day. You'd be willing to trade those things and be willing. See, so we're guiding them. So same thing in business, right? I can say, okay, so you want to move into getting marketing done for you so that you don't have to do it yourself. And that would help you feel some relief and feel like you're not doing it all yourself. But some of the things that are keeping you away from that is the fact that you always have to respond to this, 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 and this. And what would really help you is having a team behind you that would help you feel blah, 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 blah. So yes, it always comes, notice it just keeps coming back to these principles. Every single thing I'm saying is totally different. And yet it keeps coming back to the exact same principles. Feelings first, move them towards a close. Listen to what they're saying, repeat it back to them in different words so that they feel heard. These are ways that you can give value. What other questions? How do I lose you guys? I can't see your faces. There we go. Okay. Have you got any sale call videos you have done with closed clients in the past you could show us? Actually, I've been thinking about recording some of my sales because I think that would really help. So I will do that, and I will even send that to you guys. Anything else?
Hey, Matt, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So top 3 authors that you like to read for professional development, self-development right now?
Okay, so if we're talking personal development, I would read, I'll give you something on, because I read so many books. Okay, books I'm reading right now for business. I finished Profits First, Clockwork, Pitch Anything. Those are phenomenal books for that. And then I grew up, so if anyone knows Jim Rohn, okay, Jim Rohn was my mentor growing up before he passed away. So I continuously to this day listen to Jim Rohn for personal development podcast. It gives me flashbacks and stuff, but I love the way he teaches. And if you notice, he does the same thing. He talks a lot about principles and about how principles don't change. Eric Worre gives you the 7 steps from beginning to getting the sales call. That's another great one. Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. That's a great one. If we want to talk about sales though, Pitch Anything is a phenomenal one. And so that last class I talked about frame stacking, psychological principles of frames. An example of frames would be the time frame. This is running out. The prize frame. I'm the best at what I do. The authority frame. You know, you should really let somebody who's an expert take care of this for you. So these are actually all frames everyone's using all day, every day. We're always using these frames. This is actually how we argue. And what's the top frame is called the moral authority frame, right? So think about a doctor. And think about how the moment you walk into a doctor's office, you defer to their expertise at least 90% of the time. That's called the moral authority frame, right? Or Mother Teresa, right? Mother Teresa had, it was really hard for people to quell Mother Teresa because she lived with a moral authority frame. I don't care about money. I don't care about fame. I don't care about wealth. I care about doing good. And if you're not doing good, then it doesn't matter. I have some authority over you. So these are frames that you can use inside of your calls. So you can actually stack these frames in order. First, you use the intrigue frame, right? So what's that saying for the intrigue frame? Put a man in the jungle, right? Beat him up, and then have him try to get out. So
Naked, alone, and afraid.
yeah, exactly. Naked, alone, and afraid. So the intrigue frame, you know, you're telling a story, you're just bringing someone in, you're building mystery. That's how we start our sales calls, big sales, right? And then that's where you start moving into an authority frame. right? And you start saying something like, or the prize frame, right? So this isn't going to stay on the market long. You know, we've got a lot of partners. We've got this deal has a time limit on it, right? And
You're
then
missing out.
that time frame. So yeah, this is a series that you can do. And same thing, I sent it out, I believe last time, and I can send it out again, but you can learn that and pitch anything. I have this thing where I try to read like 60 to 100 books a year. So I can give you lists and lists and lists.
All right. So something somewhat related to this, but not really. I've only ever worked with accountants that practice GAAP. I've never worked with a profits first accountant. I'm trying to find one.
Okay.
Because this seems kind of, it's a very counterintuitive feeling for me to do accounting that way.
I understand.
How do you, I guess, find a good profits first accountant?
So there actually is a part on the website which is profits first certified people, and they're all accountants and CPAs who also got a certification for profits first. But this is what I've learned while searching. And then for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, I'll explain as well. So what I learned was there are people who have been doing profits first, but they've been doing GAAP for so long. For anyone who doesn't know, GAAP means generally accepted accounting principles, meaning the way most people do accounting, but not the only way to do accounting. Okay. So what I learned was this woman I found, she's in Maryland because that's where our company is located. Her name is Bev, and she's been doing profits first for 6 years. I interviewed multiple people, and I interviewed someone else doing it for 2 years and someone else doing it for 4. And when you listen to them speak, you can hear the difference in the way they talk. It's a huge difference. And the most important is understanding it's not an instead of. You're not doing profits first instead of general accounting. You're doing it on top of. So a good accountant will know that, a good one.
Okay.
For anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, profits first. Profits first is the understanding that the way most businesses are doing accounting is wrong and backwards. Using this simple formula, almost every single person here is probably doing sales minus expenses equals profit. That's probably what just about everybody in here is doing, but that is completely and utterly wrong. Stop that crap right now. Okay. It's sales or revenue minus your profits first, equals your expenses. And why is it like that? It's because that's the way you already live. Okay. So, okay, yeah. So for Alex, yes, there are other classes that you can catch up on. I'm sure William can get you checking some of these other stuff out.
Yeah, so this is the second class, Alex, for Agency War Room. When I'm talking about specifically GMB pros, if you're a GMB pro, which you're not, then I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of classes. If I was you and you're not a GMB pro, become a GMB pro and go through scale your agency if you wanted to. But a lot of that we're still going to go through here. For example, how do you optimize your LinkedIn profile? How do you optimize your Facebook profile? Because I will still tell you, especially if you're good at sales too, is to actually go through and optimize your Facebook profile, go through that class and actually start doing what I'm talking about, because on top of the leads you'll get from us, you'll get other leads from your own stuff. Okay, just by doing the methods in which we teach there as well. And one of the things I did want to touch on, because he was talking about that, is closing people, okay, or selling to people. Think of selling as you're having a conversation. There's another good book on selling. It's called Selling from Scratch. And he talks about literally just having a conversation. Like saying, I mean, honestly, you want to go through it. It's like, y'all came to my DM, right? And I go, you know, do you have a few minutes to ask a few questions? You wait, shut up, let them answer. And then you say, for example, what are some problems? You know, what are some things keeping you from where you want to be, John? You shut up, you let them talk. But during this whole process, what you're trying to get them to do is to say, one of the things I try to do is you try to get them to say yes a lot. because by the time I go, hey, let's get started, here's the payment link, they're already in their mind saying yes. So they're automatically, for the most part, going to, yes, okay, here we go, let me pay it. Then I don't even think about it because I've already programmed to the point where they're going to say yes. But you got to think of it as I'm having a conversation. Let the people talk. Let them say, okay, you know, I'm not ranking on, you know, let's say it's for SEO, you know, just an example. I'm not ranking on SEO. Why do you think that is? Let them talk. Let them tell you all about their pain and everything else, you know, and then, so why do you think I can help you with that, Nick? And then they tell you how wonderful you are, whatever. Or I heard about you through some friend. Well, that's awesome. Yeah. Would you like to hear what I have as far as, or would you like to hear my opinion? Or would you like to hear what I would do for you? And then they're going to say, yes, of course. This is why I called you. And then you tell them. And what do you think about that? You know, you let them, you guide them. You guide the conversation, control the conversation. I was actually just talking to Jason about this the other day. We were talking about conversations with women he's seeing or dating. Is you gotta learn to control the conversation. Control the conversation.
Yeah. And like he said, and tying back, that's called the yes ladder. It's a psychological principle called the yes ladder, right? So if you get someone to say yes at least 2 times, they'll say yes a 3rd time. That goes back to hearing something 7 to 8 times for a sale. So you keep getting them to say yes and yes and yes. These are all little things you can add, ways you can ask the question.
There's a book, I forget what it's called, but you probably know it's about pricing. So my wife has asked me this. Why would I name something $997? Make no damn sense to most people, but actually there is principles and statistics that will tell you that it's actually better. Instead of me saying, let's say, for example, $4,500. If I go $4,497, people feel like for whatever reason, they got a deal.
Yeah, I was
My wife is the same way. She goes, sorry, Matt. She goes the same way. She's like, if she wants, okay, it's $500 for something. She goes, can I get a discount? And even if they give her like 10 pesos off, she's like, she feels like, oh, I got a deal. It's the same thing. Instead of it being $500, it's $497. She's like, oh my God, I just saved $3. To me, it's like, just pay the man the fucking $500. But
yeah. And so then the part of
the psychological thing.
Exactly. There's something called psychological pricing. I can actually teach it to you right now in 10 seconds. Okay. Really easy. 99 makes you round down and you willing to say, if he said 499, you're willing in your mind to say 400 instead of even though you know it's 500. 7, the 97, a 7 makes it feel like a deal. 93 makes it feel cheap. These are really important to remember these words. Okay. Now let's go back to the other side, luxury. Okay. Expensive stuff has no zeros. You'll notice there's no zeros. So instead of saying, 200.00 or whatever, you're going to notice there's no cents. There's never cents. And in a lot of cases, you're going to notice they're going to avoid zeros altogether, right? So what's going to happen is you're going to get something like 1K, or you're going to see the number 7, and you're going to have to understand that that means $7,000. The psychological principle. No zeros means more expensive. No change means luxury, right? Even numbers means a good price. 99 means I'll round down. 97 means I got a deal. 93 means it's cheap. Okay. So if you want something to feel expensive, do not put it at 93. If you want them to feel like they have a deal, do not put it at 93. You put it at 97. If you want them to feel like it's really cheap, then you put it at 93. So really quick lesson in psychological pricing. Got to stop giving all the secrets away in one class, Will.
Matt has a bunch of different things he's going to be going over. I really wanted this one to be the first one because when these leads start coming in, I want y'all to know how to close these things, how to follow up with these people. Because otherwise, if you don't have systems in place, all you're going to be doing is getting a bunch of leads that are going to go to nowhere and be wasted.
Yeah, let me talk about the close, right? Actually, send an invoice on the call. Have them click the invoice on the call and then have them pay it on the call. Always. If they try to get off the phone or whatever, at least get them to click on the invoice and engage in it. And like he said, yes, ladder him a couple times. Yes, ladder them a couple times before. And then if they don't, schedule the follow-up before you get off the call. Nick.
Hey, something else that we've been doing, you got to get their cell phone number. Don't give a deal of information without it. And we always talk about marketing investment, marketing proposal, right? Or plan, I'm sorry. There's not a proposal, there's not an expenditure, it's all an investment, because it is.
Exactly. It's an investment. And all you have to do is show them the value in the investment. So, any other questions, guys? Cool. William, anything to tag on? You guys good? Let me see if I have anything else in this that I have written down. I can show you. Feel
So
free.
now here you go. I got a good question for you.
Go ahead.
You got another book in the pipeline?
Another book in the pipeline?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Let's see. Pitch anything?
No, from you. As
Oh,
as an
me?
author.
Like, am I writing another book after this
Yeah,
one?
are you going to write another book?
I am actually. I am going to write a book after this one, and it'll probably be a little bit more of my spiritual side of the story. So for anyone who doesn't know, I wrote a book called Never Be Poor Again. But it's purposely not showing, I guess. A Guide to Money as a Spiritual Practice. There we go. And in it, I teach you about personal finances, but instead of teaching you directly, instead I teach you by telling you stories of my messed up life, growing up extremely poor in the hood. You know, you see me going to prison and joining the military and joining the Marine Corps and then leaving. And then I walked 300 miles through the Mojave Desert to Vegas. And then I traveled through India, Nepal, Thailand. And the whole time I'm telling you stories about me learning about money and not listening. So, and then I do have another book that I'll be working on, so which will be a little bit more spiritual, but even though this one is it's very reflective. It teaches a lot about finances, but through philosophy and through introspection.
Okay, so Matt, just do me a favor. Don't put the word Zen in the title, okay?
I will not.
Okay, thanks.
Not. Zen is, Zen is like a religion. It's like when someone says to me, "Hey, Rasta." And I'm like, well, I'm not Rastafarian. That would be going like, "Yo, Muslim, what's up? Hey, dude, how you doing, man?" So yeah, same. I wouldn't do that. Putting Zen inside of it, that would,
That's me. George, that's the book you sent me. Now I have to read it.
You didn't read it yet?
I started, and there was not an
It's a
audible
short,
book. Is it?
it's a one evening read.
You're talking about my book?
Yeah.
George sent it to me.
You read my book?
Yes, I bought it right after my William had you on in GMB Pros.
Oh, thank you
Yeah,
so
he
much. Nick, you
And I bought a copy for Nick too, because he only does paper. I read it online, he only does paper. So I bought him a paper copy of it and sent it to him.
Awesome. Wow, that is amazing. I really appreciate the support, guys. That's so cool. Yeah. Anybody else? Y'all got any more questions for me before we get out of here?
Nope, that was a good mental refresh, Matt.
Good. I tried to keep it simple. I was trying to keep it short and concise and not give you guys too much of the PowerPoint stuff and bore you to death. So
Oh, you mean like William does when he does this?
in the Marine Corps, we call it death by PowerPoint. So I try not to do that. Can you share why luxury brands typically don't use humor in their ads? Okay, that is actually a really great and simple question. But now, just so you know, humor is becoming more and more popular in advertisements, and it's because of one specific commercial, by the way. It's the Squatty Potty. The Squatty Potty completely revolutionized and changed the advertising business and the way we do and think of marketing. Random fact.
I thought it was Ryan Reynolds and Mint.
Ryan Reynolds, that dude is hilarious, him too. But yeah, why don't luxury brands focus on humor? It's because branding by definition is feeling focused. And when we think of the word luxury, we think of the feeling of comfort. And so instead, they focused on the feeling of comfort rather than humor, because humor pulls away from the idea that they want you to think of. The other side of the comfort, though, is humor. With the humor, it's also pulling away from the financial aspect. And what you'll notice inside of luxury is they want you to recognize and they want you to know that it's expensive, right? And so it gives it gives it a little bit more of this seriousness to it. So, and that's going to happen with a lot of ads, but more and more now, just people are finding a lot of comedy and stuff. You'll notice in general, the most common thing inside of commercials, especially insurance commercials now, is the pitch is about 5 seconds long and the rest of the commercial is comedy. Notice that they're all doing that. Mayhem, exactly. And so that was the other thing. So Dos Equis, people copy each other, right? So the most interesting man in the world, they personified the idea of what's called interesting. And ever since that, now they started personifying mayhem. And then they created Limu Emu, that guy, and they're trying to personify things. So when they see things that are working, everybody starts copying them and following suit. So some of them better than the others. I can also do an awesome class on branding, since that's my forte, marketing plans, building marketing plans and business plans and stuff like that.
Oh, throw that in, brothers, throw it in.
Unless you're in pharma, okay, I have this thing for pharma. Why does pharma name their medicine the least marketable names on the planet, right? So, but yeah. Okay, guys, anything else?
No, I'm good, man.
All right.
Thanks, Matthew.
Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Give me ideas of what I can teach for next one. Thank you. I'm glad you guys liked it. I have like 12 more classes written down in the pipeline. None of them are the same topic. So we can talk about a whole bunch of stuff. And I'll make some of them practical applications, meaning in the class, I will make you do actions so that you can actually move forward with us rather than just listening to me.
Just like when you're selling.
Just like when you're selling, make them do the actions. Exactly.
That's it.
So, all right. Thank you guys for tuning in.
All right.
Thank you.
Role playing.
Yeah,
I'm-
William, thanks for bringing him on board. Good to have him in this series too. If you're still here, William.
Yeah, he kind of disappeared, huh?
Yeah, I think he's got like another gig he's running to. So.
Gotcha. All right, everyone. So I don't know if he was doing if he was planning to do a giveaway in this or not.
I don't think
He mentioned one. I don't think he mentioned.
so.
All right, everyone. Well, if you need me, you can contact me. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. I think I changed my Instagram name to Matt of All Trades. Everywhere else, you can find me as the Money Mystic. Buy my book, Never Be Poor Again. Buy William's courses. You know, all the pitches at the end.
Hey, wait, is there a package deal? Is there a lifetime package deal? Package deal.
That's a good
I need
idea.
a discount to buy. I need a discount to buy right now.
All right. You need a discount to buy right now. Fantastic. 1% off. Here you go.
All right. Good night, everybody.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Thank you again.
Thank you.